Particular company, KEC International, is in focus. The company has bagged orders worth around 1,423 crores yesterday. To discuss that and the guidance for the full year, we have with us Vimal Kejriwal, who's the MD and CEO of the company. Mr. Kejriwal, thank you very much for joining in. 1,423 odd crores is what you've won for design, supply and installation of transmission lines in Saudi Arabia. Give us a sense in terms of what the margins would be for this particular order. And when does it start execution, and hence when does it reflect on your P&L?
Good morning, Ekta, and thank you for having me. So the margins would typically be around 10% plus on these orders. Execution, I think in terms of revenue hitting, would probably start from Q3 slightly coming in, but a majority of it will start from Q4. That's because we have to do some design, etc. So the revenues will come in maybe from Q4 onwards.
Okay, all right. Hi, Mr. Kejriwal. Good morning and good to see you in. What does this take your total order book to? Sorry, I missed that number. And what is the inflow you're factoring in for this year?
So our total order book plus L1 is now around 41,000. Order book is around 33,000 crores and 7,000 odd is the L1. So that's the number. Our order intake guidance has been around 25,000 crores for the year. Against that, we have announced orders still of around 11,000 till now, plus 7,000 is L1. So I think we are pretty comfortable as far as our guidance is concerned or order intake.
Okay. 25,000 for the year, right?
Sorry?
Okay.
25,000 for the year is what
25,000 for the 25,000 for the year, yes.
And 11 plus 7 is what you're already factoring in. Got it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. But Mr. Kejriwal, if you could just narrow down in terms of the opportunity from Saudi Arabia particularly, what are you anticipating and what are you seeing on the ground when it comes to order intake?
So surprisingly, we are seeing, almost every day new tenders coming out. Okay. And a large part of it is now not related to NEOM. Earlier, a lot of tenders had come out which were more related to NEOM, its city, etc. But now we are seeing it's across almost the entire length and breadth of the country. Some of these orders are coming from the eastern part of it. These ones, I think some of them we have orders are from the western part also. So a large number of tenders are coming up. Some of them are for industries which are coming up, but majority are for solar parks which they are setting up. So it's all large part is renewable related.
Okay. So what do you think the opportunity would be for you in terms of bidding? There was also, a recent approval by Saudi Aramco for bidding for onshore oil and gas pipeline projects as well. So cumulatively, what are we expecting for KEC in terms of a future bidding process from Saudi Arabia or a pipeline?
To me, Saudi, we are, I'll say, sort of reaching our limits in terms of concentration. We have a large order book. If you look at Middle East, we are almost 6,500 crores of order book in Middle East by now, between Saudi and UAE. So, and at the same time, we are seeing large number of orders coming in from India also. So although there are a lot more opportunity in Saudi, I personally feel that we'll probably go a little bit slow in that market for the time being till we, execute and, reduce our overall exposure to that market.
Okay, all right. Mr. Kejriwal, you have a strategy with regard to your cables business. The margins out there are relatively lower in comparison to the industry, but you have a strategy in place where you're going to be carving this out, and focusing more on it. So what is the revenue growth you're looking at over here in the cables business? And currently, what is the margin difference between you and some of your peers, and how do you see that narrowing?
So currently, the margin difference is, I think, close to 300 to 400 basis points. We are still at 6. This year, hopefully, we should be around 7. I think industry is doing 9 to 10. Some of them are doing slightly more than 10 also. So I'll say 300, 350, 400 basis points would be the margin difference with the industry. I'll say the best of class industry. What we have done is a few things. One is we are putting in some capex. We have already spent around 60 crores on setting up aluminum conductor manufacturing, which hopefully in Q3 will get commissioned. And then we are also adding some more lines on e-beam and etc., which again, by the revenue will start flowing in, I think, Q2 next year. Okay. So with these two additions, once they are fully operational, I think we should be touching a revenue of around 3,000 crores as against 1,700, which we did last year. I think that's the growth strategy on the revenue side. On the margin, obviously, conductors are doing very well. And the new lines which are setting up are for products where the margins are expected to be better. So we do expect that, in the next 2 years or so, margins should start catching up and should probably reach closer to what the industry margins are.
Okay. All right. What is the opportunity from Kavach? We just spoke to a company the other day who did indicate that there is some amount of bidding which is going to start when it comes to that. What is the opportunity that you are anticipating?
So it's unfortunate, I don't have the exact number, but there are quite a few tenders which have been issued out finally for Kavach. Okay. I think last week or 2 weeks before that, tenders have been issued out for Kavach. However, the government has changed the nature of the contract. Earlier, it was a single contract where you had all the equipment supplies, the locomotives, the stations, and also on the track done in a single order. In some cases, they have maintained that. In some cases, they have separated the equipment supply and then the EPC separated. So we are just looking at the whole piece. I think the problem on the Kavach side is the constraint on the equipment supply. Right now, I think there are 3 manufacturers which are approved. There's one more probably may get approved. So the constraint is that even the earlier orders are not yet fully executed because of supply issues, which I think the manufacturers are trying to probably increase, or government is trying to add a few more suppliers. So till that supply piece gets addressed, it will not be a large opportunity. It's a large opportunity in the sense of the market. But from the supply side, I'm clearly seeing some constraint in terms of this business becoming big.
All right, Mr. Kejriwal, final question before we let you go. I think you had approved a QIP, right? You're looking at raising some money of 4,500 crores. For when, what is the purpose of that and when does it happen?
So basically what we had said and what we are still is that part of that money would go towards strengthening our balance sheet. Okay. We have always been discussing the interest costs are higher and the balance sheet slightly stretched. So part of that money, we are not yet decided exactly, but probably part of that money would go towards our balance sheet strengthening. And the balance, a large part of it would be towards, we have been looking at a few acquisition opportunities on and off. So we just wanted to be ready with all our approvals. So as and when we decide to, do something, then we can quickly launch QIP for, any acquisition which we finalize.
Okay, so then if inorganic growth could be on your mind, need to ask you whether or not you're interested in ITD cementation, because sources tell us here at CNBC-TV18 that KEC is interested out there. Could you confirm?
No, I think, Nigel, we have already made our position clear on that particular thing. We have been looking at a lot of them, I'll say. Okay.
So this could be also a potential acquisition target, right?
No comments on that.
You want to deny it?
No, I'm saying no comments. We have made our position very clear earlier also.
We'll have to stay tuned for that then. It's an interesting one. Part of the money will be used to make your balance sheet, keep your balance sheet in better shape, and maybe some inorganic growth. Let's see whether or not ITD cementation is part of those plans. But we appreciate you joining in, Mr. Kejriwal, and filling us in with how you see business shaping up and also giving an insight into your plans going ahead. For the time being,